The station's artificial lighting simulated a perfect morning as Sarah Chen Martinez carefully arranged her latest shipment of Earth flowers. Her stall, positioned at the heart of the Gamma 9 trading hub, stood out among the metallic and crystalline displays of her alien neighbors. The sweet fragrance of roses mixed with the station's recycled air, creating an atmosphere that drew curious glances from passing species. A Milorian merchant, with their characteristic floating tendrils, paused to admire a perfectly cultivated blue rose. These specimens emit such fascinating wavelengths. They hummed, their translation device converting the musical notes into standard Galactic. How do you maintain their vibrancy in artificial gravity? Sarah smiled, reaching for her tablet to display the specialized greenhouse systems she had developed. Earth plants are remarkably adaptable, she explained, her voice carrying the pride of someone who had spent years perfecting their craft. These roses took 3 generations of careful breeding to thrive in space conditions. The trading hub buzzed with its usual morning activity. Hovering transport units glided silently between stalls, carrying everything from Centaurian spices to Proxima data crystals. Among the diverse crowd, Sarah noticed the distinctive crystalline form of a Vrek approaching her stall. His faceted body caught the station's lights, creating rainbow patterns on the nearby surfaces. The Vrek designation mark identified him as Tazar, a member of their diplomatic corps. His crystalline appendages moved with deliberate grace as he examined the display of sunflowers. Fascinating, his translator chirped. These yellow specimens track your star's movement correct, even when separated from their homeworld. They're called sunflowers, Sarah explained, adjusting the hydroponic feed to one of the stems. And yes, they maintain their heliotropic movement even in artificial light. Would you like to see their tracking data? Cesar's interest seemed to intensify, his crystalline structure shifting to what Sarah recognized as their species' formal trading stance. Around them, other merchants and customers slowed their activities, curious about the interaction between the human botanist and the Vrek diplomat. The station's environmental systems cycled through their morning sequence, adjusting temperature and humidity to accommodate the diverse species present. Sarah's flowers responded to the changes, their petals shifting slightly in the artificial breeze. She had spent months calibrating their care systems to maintain optimal conditions in the station's variable environment. Your species has achieved remarkable results with such primitive organic materials, Tazar observed, his tone carrying what he likely thought was a compliment. These would make suitable decorations for my embassy's reception chamber. Sarah activated her display screen, bringing up the catalog of her available stock. Each variety has been carefully cultivated for space travel and long-term display. The sunflowers are particularly popular among species who appreciate solar reactive aesthetics. The morning crowd had grown denser, with various beings pausing to observe the unusual sight of Earth flora. A group of Zorian scholars, their multiple eyes blinking in synchronized interest, took detailed scans of the flower display. Sarah had grown accustomed to the academic attention her work attracted. Several of these specimens are scheduled for transfer to the station's Botanical Research Center, Sarah mentioned, noting Tazar's particular interest in the more rare varieties. They're studying the potential applications of Earth plant adaptability to other worlds. The Vrek crystalline form shifted again, this time to what Sarah recognized as their contemplation pattern. The morning light continued to scatter through his body, creating an ever-changing display of colors that drew even more attention from passing traders. Sarah checked her environmental controls one more time, ensuring the flowers maintained their optimal conditions. Years of experience had taught her that even the slightest variation could affect their presentation. As she worked, she noticed her husband James's daily message blinking on her communicator, a reminder of their planned lunch meeting later in the station's Earth cuisine sector. The trading hub's morning symphony of commerce continued around them, a blend of various species going about their business. Yet at this moment, Sarah's stall had become a focal point of attention, a small piece of Earth thriving in the vastness of space, bridging gaps between worlds one flower at a time. Tizar's crystalline form shifted to what the Galactic Trade Registry recognized as the negotiation stance as he gestured toward the blue roses. The morning crowd of the trading hub had thinned slightly, creating a more intimate atmosphere around Sarah's stall. The environmental systems hummed quietly in the background, maintaining the delicate balance needed for both the diverse species and the Earth flora. As a diplomatic representative of the Vrekthai Consortium, Tizar's translator chimed, "I offer you 30 credits for the entire Blue Rose collection." His crystalline structure sparkled with confidence, clearly expecting an immediate acceptance of what he considered a generous offer. Sarah kept her expression neutral, though her years of trading experience told her this was far below market value. The current market rate for specialized earth roses is 120 credits per stem, she explained, pulling up the official Galactic Trade Commission pricing guidelines on her display. These particular specimens required special genetic modifications to achieve their color while maintaining their fragrance. Several nearby merchants had paused their own transactions, their attention drawn to the exchange. A Melorian floating nearby transmitted signals of anticipation, their tendrils curling in what Sarah recognized as amused interest. The Vrekthai were known throughout the galaxy for their wealth and influence, but also for their expectation of deference. "Perhaps you misunderstand." Tizar's crystalline body pulsed with subtle patterns of authority. "My position within the consortium merits certain considerations. 35 credits should more than compensate for these simple organic decorations." Sarah maintained her professional demeanor, though she noticed a Zorian security officer watching the interaction with increased attention. "The prices are standardized across all Gamma 9 trading stations," she said, gesturing to her trade license display. "These roses represent years of research and development in space-based agriculture." The surrounding atmosphere grew tenser as other aliens recognized the cultural clash unfolding. The Vrekthai, evolved on a crystal-based world with naturally occurring hierarchies, rarely encountered direct refusal from what they considered lesser species. Sarah's stall had become an impromptu stage for an unexpected diplomatic incident. "Your species is still relatively new to galactic commerce," Tizar's translator conveyed, his tone carrying what he likely thought was patient wisdom. 40 credits, and I will overlook this cultural misunderstanding." His crystalline form now emitted patterns that the more experienced traders recognized as warning signs. A small group of Centaurian merchants had gathered at a respectful distance, their neural nets flickering with interest. They had witnessed similar scenarios before, but rarely involving humans, whose reactions remained somewhat unpredictable in galactic society. Sarah straightened her station uniform, the Earth Defense Force logo catching the light. "I appreciate your interest in Earth botanicals," she responded firmly, "but I must maintain fair market prices for all customers, regardless of their status. It ensures stable economic relations across all species." The environmental controls cycled again, creating a subtle shift in the station's atmosphere. Tizar's crystalline surface reflected the changing light conditions, his patterns now showing clear signs of what sinologists termed status distress. The Vrekthai had evolved in a society where their position automatically guaranteed preferential treatment. "You risk causing diplomatic complications." Tizar's message carried underlying tones of disbelief. "Surely your trading license depends on maintaining positive relations with established galactic powers." The security officer had moved closer, their multiple eyes tracking the escalating situation. Sarah's flowers continued their normal processes, oblivious to the tension building around them. The blue roses, in particular, seemed to glow more intensely under the station's lights. Other traders in the hub had begun sending subtle warnings through their various communication methods. They recognized the signs of a Vrekthai losing face, a situation that historically led to unfortunate incidents. Yet Sarah stood her ground, her stance reflecting generations of human determination. The artificial morning light continued its programmed progression, casting longer shadows across the trading hub. Tizar's crystalline form had shifted to a configuration that the more experienced merchants recognized as one preceding decisive action. The stage was set for a moment that would soon ripple across galactic society. The moment stretched like a taut wire across the trading hub as Tizar's crystalline appendage rose in what seemed like slow motion. The station's environmental systems continued their steady hum, maintaining the perfect atmosphere that now felt charged with tension. Several merchants activated their recording devices, sensing the historical significance of what was about to unfold. Sarah maintained her professional stance, her eyes steady on the Vrek diplomat. Years of dealing with various species had taught her to read alien body language, and every facet of Tizar's crystalline form screamed wounded pride. The blue roses beside her continued their subtle swaying in the artificial breeze, unaware of their role in this diplomatic incident. "You will lower these prices," Tizar's translator crackled with unusual static, indicating emotional interference with his communication patterns. His crystalline structure had shifted to what xenobiologists termed an assertion stance, a position rarely seen outside formal Vrek ceremonies. The surrounding crowd had grown still, their various respiratory systems seemingly synchronized in anticipation. A young Nilorian researcher frantically documented the scene, their tendrils vibrating with academic excitement. The security officer's multiple eyes widened, recognizing the gravity of the situation but bound by station protocols regarding diplomatic interactions. The strike, when it came, seemed almost anticlimactic in its simplicity. Tizar's crystalline appendage connected with Sarah's shoulder, a gesture that on his homeworld would have merely indicated social correction. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent trading hub, a sharp crack that would soon resonate across galactic politics. Sarah barely moved from the impact, her Earth-evolved muscles and bones absorbing the force in a way that surprised many watching aliens. The station's gravity sensors registered a slight fluctuation as she stabilized her stance, a testament to human adaptability that would later feature in numerous xenobiology papers. The Vrek diplomat's crystalline form flickered with what experienced traders recognized as confusion. On his homeworld, such a gesture would have immediately established proper social hierarchy. The lack of submission from this human female challenged centuries of Vrek social understanding. Station security cameras whirred silently, their lenses focusing on the scene with artificial precision. The footage would later become required viewing in diplomatic training programs across the galaxy. The artificial morning light cast sharp shadows across the trading floor, highlighting the contrast between Sarah's organic resilience and Tizar's crystalline rigidity. The blue roses trembled slightly in their hydroponic holders, their motion sensors adjusting water flow to compensate for the minor disturbance. Several Zorian scholars began rapid calculations, their neural networks processing the implications of human physical capabilities in relation to standard galactic species. Sarah's vital signs remained remarkably stable, her military-grade health monitor showing only a slight increase in heart rate. The Earth Defense Force logo on her uniform seemed to gleam more prominently under the station's lights, a silent reminder of humanity's protective preparations for space travel. The trading hub's atmosphere recycling system cycled through its regular sequence, the soft whoosh of filtered air the only sound breaking the tense silence. Various species watched with their respective sensory organs, each processing the scene according to their own cultural frameworks. Tizar's crystalline structure had frozen in a pattern that sinologists would later classify as expectant dominance, still waiting for the traditional submission response. The moment stretched on, defying his species' social protocols and centuries of galactic diplomatic traditions. The security officer's communication device buzzed quietly, likely receiving updates from Station Command about proper diplomatic incident procedures. However, before any official response could be implemented, a new factor entered the equation. The crowd parted instinctively, creating a path for a figure moving with deliberate purpose toward the scene. Sarah's health monitor registered a slight smile, her vital signs showing recognition rather than distress. The artificial morning light caught the Earth Defense Force insignia on another uniform, this one worn by a human male approaching with measured steps. The station's gravity sensors detected subtle changes in local pressure as he walked, his controlled strength evident to the more sensitive alien species present. The scene had been set, the actors were in place, and the galaxy held its breath for what would happen next. James Martinez moved through the trading hub with the fluid grace that marked him as a veteran of Earth's defense forces. The artificial lighting caught the silver streaks in his dark hair, earned during years of deep space patrols. Each step carried the weight of measured control, a predator's grace that made nearby species instinctively create more distance. The station's environmental sensors registered subtle changes in local pressure as he approached. His movements, smooth and deliberate, triggered primitive warning responses in several alien species. A Malorian's tendrils curled protectively inward, while a group of Zorian scholars rapidly documented his approach, their neural networks processing the unusual data patterns of human locomotion. Tsar remained frozen in his dominant stance, his crystalline structure still radiating the patterns of expected submission. The diplomat's translation device emitted a low hum of confusion as James approached, unable to properly categorize the human's body language within its standard diplomatic protocols. "Sarah," James spoke softly, his voice carrying clearly in the hushed trading hub. "Are you all right?" His question, simple and direct, somehow made the surrounding aliens shift uncomfortably. The security officer's multiple eyes darted between the humans and the Frechthai, their appendages hovering over emergency protocols. The station's gravity sensors continued to record microscopic fluctuations around James's position. His muscles, evolved under Earth's heavy gravity, contained more potential energy than most alien species could comprehend. The security systems automatically adjusted their threat assessment algorithms, struggling to categorize this controlled display of human capability. "Just a cultural misunderstanding," Sarah replied, her vital signs remaining remarkably stable. The blue roses beside her seemed to lean slightly away from the tension in the air, their sensitive stems responding to unseen changes in the local environment. The ambassador was expressing his perspective on trade negotiations. James nodded once, his eyes never leaving Tsar's crystalline form. The Vrechthai surface had begun to display patterns that indicated growing uncertainty. The diplomat species had evolved without natural predators, their crystalline bodies never needing to develop responses to physical threats. The trading hub's morning light cycle continued its programmed progression, casting intricate shadows through Tsar's transparent form. Several merchants had activated their emergency translators, expecting to witness some form of human retribution. Instead, they observed something far more unsettling to galactic sensibilities: controlled power. "Ambassador," James addressed Tsar directly, his tone professionally neutral. "I believe we should discuss Earth's perspective on physical contact during trade negotiations." The station's audio sensors detected subtle harmonics in his voice that caused several alien species to involuntarily retreat further. Tsar's crystalline structure shifted, attempting to maintain its diplomatic authority while processing new threat assessment data. His translation device struggled to interpret the complex layers of human communication, where physical capability remained carefully sheathed behind civil words. The security officer had begun transmitting continuous updates to Station Command, their report noting the unusual restraint displayed by the human male. In the background, market drones continued their programmed routes, creating an oddly normal backdrop to this watershed moment in galactic relations. James maintained his position, demonstrating what xenobiologists would later term strategic patience. His stance communicated volumes to the watching crowd: a predator species choosing diplomacy over dominance, civilization over instinct. The implications would reshape galactic understanding of human nature. The artificial morning light caught the Earth Defense Force insignias on both human uniforms, the symbols taking on new meaning for the watching aliens. What they had dismissed as decorative markers now revealed themselves as warnings, their species finally understanding why humans had chosen such prominent display of their defensive capabilities. The station's environmental systems cycled through another adjustment, the subtle change in air pressure emphasizing the pregnant pause in this diplomatic drama. The moment balanced on a knife's edge, waiting for someone to determine which path this encounter would take, toward escalation or understanding. The station's security office hummed with activity as various species gathered to process the morning's incident. Holographic displays showed multiple angles of the encounter, while environmental sensors provided detailed readings of the physiological responses from all parties involved. The station's chief security officer, a veteran Zorian named Kexley, observed the assembled group with all 6 eyes focused on maintaining order. Our scanners indicate that the human female sustained impact forces that would shatter most species' internal support structures. A Malorian medical officer reported, their tendrils weaving complex patterns of confusion. Yet her vital signs showed minimal distress. The bone density readings are particularly fascinating. James stood at parade rest, his relaxed posture somehow more imposing than any aggressive stance could have been. The security office's gravity sensors continued their subtle adjustments, compensating for the density of human muscle mass. Tizar's crystalline form had shifted to what sinologists recognized as a receptive learning configuration. Earth's gravity shapes us from birth, Sarah explained, pulling up comparative planetary data on the main display. What you consider extreme impact force, we might experience during a casual sporting event. The assembled alien officials leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused on the environmental data from humanity's homeworld. The medical team's scanners hummed as they analyzed Sarah's shoulder, where Tizar's strike had landed. The muscle fiber density exceeds our standard measurement scales, a Centaurian physician noted, their neural net flickering with excitement. The layered reaction of the tissue suggests evolutionary adaptations to regular physical stress. Tsar's translator processed this information with uncharacteristic hesitation. Your species evolved expecting regular physical combat. The crystalline diplomat's surface patterns displayed what experts would later classify as paradigm-shifting revelation. James adjusted his position slightly, causing several nearby aliens to drift back instinctively. We evolved expecting everything, he explained, his voice carrying the weight of Earth's challenging history. Our world taught us to be ready for any situation, including diplomatic ones. The security office's environmental systems cycled through another adjustment as Kexley brought up footage of other human activities on the station. Notice the controlled strength in every movement. The Zorian officer highlighted various clips. Even their casual interactions demonstrate remarkable physical awareness. Sarah's vital signs continued to show normal readings as she assisted the medical team in documenting human baseline statistics. Our adrenaline response alone would classify us as an apex predator on most worlds, she explained, bringing up charts of human chemical reactions. But we've learned to channel those instincts constructively. The assembled officials watched in fascination as data streamed across their various interfaces, each species processing the information through their own evolutionary framework. The station's artificial intelligence compiled statistics on human physiology that would soon become required study for all diplomatic personnel. The pair bonding aspect adds another layer of complexity, a xenopsychologist observed, their appendages gesturing toward James and Sarah. The protective response appears to enhance their already formidable physical capabilities. Tizar's crystalline structure vibrated slightly at this observation, processing the implications. Station security footage continued to play, showing the careful grace with which humans navigated the crowded trading hub. What had seemed like simple movement now revealed itself as constant physical restraint, a predator species choosing daily to move among others peacefully. Your species, Tizar's translator finally conveyed, carries such power, yet trades in flowers. The question contained layers of cultural reassessment, the beginning of a profound shift in galactic understanding. Sarah smiled, pulling up images of Earth's varied ecosystems. We learned long ago that strength means little without the wisdom to use it properly. Beauty and power can coexist. The medical scanners beeped softly, recording her unchanged vital signs even during this tense diplomatic discussion. The Galactic Information Network buzzed with unprecedented activity as footage from the Trading Hub incident spread across civilized space. Holographic displays in thousands of diplomatic offices showed the same scene. A human female standing unwavering after impact, and a male of her species responding with controlled power that defied standard classification. Deep in the Centaurian Science Academy, researchers huddled around data streams displaying human physiological readings. Their muscle fiber density suggests evolution in a gravity well nearly twice our previous estimates. One scientist noted, their neural pathways glowing with excitement. Yet they move through standard gravity as if born to the stars. News outlets across 17 sectors broadcast carefully selected clips of the incident. The Malorian Information Collective focused on the moment of impact, their floating text arrays highlighting the minimal displacement of Sarah's form. Zorian networks analyzed James's approach, their commentary filled with terms like controlled predatory grace and civilized power. Earth's ambassador found her communications queue flooded with diplomatic inquiries. Species that had previously dismissed humanity as an upstart civilization now requested detailed cultural exchange protocols. The station's data cores processed hundreds of information requests about human physical capabilities and social structures. The trading implications alone are staggering. A Vrekthai economic advisor reported to their High Council, crystalline form shifting through patterns of rapid calculation. A species that combines such physical resilience with botanical expertise could revolutionize agriculture in heavy gravity environments. The Galactic Academy's Xenobiology Department hastily assembled a special committee. Holographic representations of various species debated the implications of human physiological data. Their bone density suggests an evolutionary history of regular physical conflict, a senior researcher observed, yet they demonstrate remarkable emotional control. In the station's diplomatic sector, Tazar prepared a formal report for his superiors. His crystalline surface rippled with complex patterns as he described the human's response. The incident had shattered centuries of Vrekthai assumptions about physical capability and species hierarchy. Most fascinating is their choice of trade goods. A Malorian cultural analyst transmitted across designated frequencies. A species capable of dominating through physical means instead chooses to exchange beauty. The philosophical implications warrant extensive study. Security forces across multiple sectors began reviewing their protocols regarding human interactions. The station's incident footage became required viewing in training programs, with special emphasis on the controlled nature of human movements in civilian spaces. Sarah's market stall had never been busier, though now customers seemed as interested in observing human behavior as in purchasing Earth flora. The blue roses continued their gentle swaying, oblivious to their role in reshaping galactic politics. Somewhere in the Zorian academic archives, a junior researcher compiled historical data on human space exploration. The pattern emerged clearly. Every human advancement into space had been accompanied by both defensive capability and cultural exchange. The roses were not a disguise for strength, but a genuine expression of human duality. The station's environmental systems registered subtle changes as species adjusted their behavior around humans. What had once been casual dismissal of a young species became careful observation. Predator recognition signals flickered through various alien nervous systems, yet the humans' continued display of restraint sparked new kinds of respect. In the Galactic Council's main chamber, representatives debated the implications of the incident. The footage played on endless loop, each species viewing it through their own evolutionary lens. The simple act of a human standing her ground, and her mate's controlled response, had triggered a diplomatic revolution. Medical facilities across known space requested access to human physiological data. The combination of physical resilience and emotional control demonstrated in the incident suggested possibilities that countless species had never considered. Questions arose about human potential in various gravity environments. their adaptability becoming a subject of intense scientific interest. The Galactic Council's central chamber sparkled under crystalline chandeliers as Sarah and James Martinez took their places at the speaker's podium. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the tiered seating, their various sensory organs focused on the human couple. The chamber's environmental systems hummed quietly, maintaining optimal conditions for the diverse gathering. Our cultivation methods developed from Earth's varied ecosystems, Sarah explained, activating a holographic display of terrestrial gardens. Like humanity itself, our plants learned to thrive in challenging conditions. The blue roses from her market stall, now carefully preserved, rotated in a secondary display as evidence of human botanical achievement. James stood beside her, his relaxed posture still drawing instinctive attention from the gathered delegates. Humanity's strength lies not in our physical capabilities, he addressed the assembly, but in our ability to choose when not to use them. The chamber's sensors registered subtle shifts as various species processed this concept. A Vrekthai delegation, led by Tizar himself, approached the podium with a ceremonial container. Inside, crystal formations from their homeworld's sacred caves caught the light, sending rainbow patterns across the chamber. We offer these growth matrices, Tizar's translator conveyed, to nurture Earth flora in our environments. The station's diplomatic corps had organized new cultural exchange protocols inspired by the incident. Training programs now included modules on human physical capabilities alongside lessons in Earth's artistic and botanical achievements. The combination proved surprisingly effective in fostering interspecies understanding. The human concept of protective strength requires deeper study. A Zorian cultural attaché noted, their neural networks processing fresh observational data. The chamber's recording systems captured the proceedings for distribution to academic institutions across known space. Sarah activated another holographic display, showing the progress of the first joint human-Vrekthai botanical research project. Earth plants grew in crystalline matrices, their roots intertwining with alien minerals in ways that defied previous scientific understanding. The success demonstrated humanity's gift for finding harmony in unexpected places. We propose establishing a permanent cultural exchange center, James announced, bringing up architectural plans for a new station section, a place where species can learn from each other's strengths while respecting our differences. The chamber's atmosphere seemed to lighten as translation devices conveyed the peaceful intention behind the proposal. The Malorian representatives wove complex patterns of agreement with their tendrils. Your species demonstrates that physical power and cultural refinement need not be opposing forces. Their spoke being observed. Several other delegations indicated their support through various cultural gestures. Station security had implemented new training programs based on human principles of controlled strength. The sight of various species learning to balance capability with restraint brought a smile to James's face. Even the Vrekthai had begun incorporating similar concepts into their diplomatic training. The roses in our market stall, Sarah continued, now grow in soil enriched by Vrekthai crystals, producing blooms more vibrant than ever achieved on Earth. The holographic display showed the hybrid growing system, a testament to successful cooperation between radically different species. The chamber's environmental systems cycled through another adjustment as more delegations approached the podium with their own proposals for cooperation. Each species brought unique perspectives on combining human resilience with their own specialized knowledge. Medical teams had already begun implementing human-inspired training techniques in gravity-variable environments. The combination of Earth-evolved strength and alien technological expertise promised breakthroughs in various fields, from agriculture to space exploration. The Galactic Council session concluded with the approval of multiple joint ventures. As the chamber began to clear, several delegates lingered to examine the preserved blue roses more closely. The flowers, which had inadvertently sparked this diplomatic revolution, seemed to glow with renewed purpose under the crystalline lights. The transformed trading hub of Station Gamma 9 gleamed under the morning light cycle, its pathways now lined with a harmonious blend of Earth flora and Vrekthai crystal formations. Sarah's original market stall had evolved into an expansive botanical exhibition space, where species from across the galaxy gathered to witness the successful fusion of organic and mineral life. The symbiotic relationship between Earth roses and Vrek-Thai growth matrices has exceeded all projections, Sarah explained to a group of visiting xenobotanists. The blue roses, now growing in crystalline beds, produced blooms that seemed to capture starlight itself. Their enhanced beauty served as a living metaphor for the benefits of interspecies cooperation. The station's security training center, several levels below, hummed with activity as James supervised a mixed-species defense course. Strength flows from understanding, not dominance. He demonstrated, his movements carefully measured to illustrate the principle. Beings from dozens of worlds practiced alongside each other, learning to balance power with wisdom. Environmental systems throughout the station had been refined to create perfect microclimates for various species' needs. The successful integration of human environmental engineering with alien technologies had produced spaces where all beings could thrive together. Gravity fields shifted smoothly between sections, accommodating different physiological requirements without disruption. Tsar, now serving as the head of the Vrek-Thai Cultural Exchange Office, guided a delegation through the new botanical gardens. His crystalline form had adopted patterns that sinologists classified as collaborative harmony, a significant evolution from the traditional hierarchical displays of his species. Through human example, we learned that true strength lies in adaptation, not rigidity, his translator conveyed. The station's medical bay had become a center for revolutionary research. Human resilience, studied in conjunction with various alien biological systems, led to breakthroughs in adaptive medicine. Sarah's vital signs from the original incident still served as a baseline for understanding species interaction under stress. The garden requires both human and Vrek-Thai maintenance techniques, a young botanist explained to visiting dignitaries. The roses responded to touch as much as light, their petals shifting colors depending on the species tending them. This unexpected development became another lesson in the benefits of diverse approaches to cultivation. James watched from an observation deck as ships from across known space docked at the station. Each vessel carried beings seeking to understand the unique balance humanity had struck between physical capability and peaceful cooperation. The trading hub's reputation had spread far beyond its original commercial purpose. The station's diplomatic corps had grown to include representatives from previously isolated species. Many cited the human example of strength through diversity as their motivation for joining the galactic community. The incident that had once threatened to become a diplomatic crisis had instead opened new pathways to understanding. Sarah's original blue roses, preserved in stasis fields, remained on display in the station's historical center. Beside them, recordings showed the moment that had changed galactic society's perception of humanity. New visitors often stood in contemplation before the exhibit, understanding that the smallest actions could ripple across the stars. The station's maintenance drones hummed quietly as they tended to the expanding gardens. Hybrid systems, combining human intuition with alien efficiency, kept the complex ecosystem in perfect balance. The sight of Earth plants thriving alongside extraterrestrial species became a powerful symbol of successful integration. As artificial evening approached, Sarah and James walked together through the garden paths they had helped create. The blue roses glowed softly in the dimming light, their petals reflecting both starlight and crystal shine. Around them, beings from across the galaxy moved with new awareness, their various species learning to appreciate both strength and beauty in all its forms. The station's night cycle began, but the garden remained active with visitors from nocturnal species. The legacy of a single market stall incident had transformed into something far greater. A living testament to humanity's unique gift for turning confrontation into cooperation, strength into understanding, and differences into harmony.